Hi again, it's Dave Ferguson back with a short reading from my novel Double-Back Fur Run. This is the third book in my Rob McNabb, Samantha Williams wildlife crime series. A transport load of wild fur pelts shipped with no export permits is seized by Saskatchewan conservation officers. Ontario CO Rob McNabb teams up with fellow officer Rick Webb for the straightforward assignment of returning the big rig and its load to Ontario. But Derek Cheney, the owner of the transport, has other ideas. He has authorized his road warriors, he's insisted that his road warriors bring back the rig and use any means necessary. For McNabb and Webb, the job quickly escalates into something far more dangerous than what they had signed up for. So right now we're going to meet some of the bad guys. Monday, January 27th at 9:45 in the morning, on Highway 1, the Trans-Canada, near Broadview, Saskatchewan. 18 wheels locked up. 18 tires chattered on bare pavement, smoking despite the bitter cold prairie wind. The white Kenworth tractor came screeching to a stop, barely a foot from the massive roadblock. The driver and his two passengers stared wide-eyed at 6 law enforcement carbines aimed directly at them. 45 minutes earlier, the driver had failed to stop at the westbound Wayscales in Moosomin, Saskatchewan, and just 5 minutes after that, he ignored a highway patrol officer's order to pull over, completely disregarded the government pickup and its glaring red and blue emergency lights. 20 minutes later, the Kenworth driver blew through the first roadblock, smashing 2 police cruisers out of the way, just like they do in the movies. 2 constables were now being rushed to the nearest trauma center with serious injuries. The Mounties were in no mood for a rerun, and when they chose the location for this final roadblock, they picked a highway construction site just west of Broadview. Work had stopped for the winter, so there was little chance of what the military calls collateral damage. 2 police SUVs had moved to block the westbound lanes just minutes before the transport came into view. As soon as it became obvious that the driver of the big rig planned a repeat performance, RCMP Corporal Jacques Dupuis signaled the driver of a Euclid earth mover that was sat idling in the snowbound median. The diesel monster, awakened from its winter shutdown, belched a dense cloud of black exhaust as it rolled across the road, completely blocking the westbound lanes. It provided a nearly impenetrable barrier between the rampaging transport and the police vehicles. Within seconds of getting his rig stopped, the Kenworth driver threw the automatic transmission into reverse, hoping to do a backing jackknife U-turn. Not willing to give up yet, he figured he'd go back to a secondary highway they'd just passed. It was a desperation move. But the police weren't about to let that happen. A Caterpillar bulldozer from the construction site clattered onto the road behind the transport. The operator pivoted the dozer, closing the gap, and boxed the rig in. The 6 officers stood protected from the front and rear ends of the earth mover, and they held their pose while the corporal used a megaphone to address the road warriors. "Driver, turn off your engine and exit the cab. Do it now!" The man behind the wheel looked at his companions, then reluctantly complied. The next order: "Face down, on the ground, do it now!" Before advancing on the man, Corporal Dupuis followed the same routine with the 2 passengers. When all 3 were lying prone on the freezing cold pavement, They were arrested, handcuffed, and thoroughly searched. The search produced a loaded 9mm handgun, several knives, and a can of bear spray. A search of the sleeper cab produced no more perpetrators, but yielded a Ruger Mini 14 semi-automatic rifle, complete with a fully loaded 20-round magazine. Classed as a prohibited weapon in Canada, it and the pistol had been smuggled into the country from the United States. The takedown team consisted of a Mountie corporal and 3 constables, as well as two Saskatchewan Highway Patrol inspectors and a conservation officer. The latter 3 had been recently given full police powers. The 4 Mounties loaded the prisoners into police SUVs, while the 3 provincial officers moved to the back of the transport trailer. They were curious as to see what cargo was worth running an inspection station at the weigh scale. The manifest taken from the cab read mixed freight, 15,000 pounds. Not a heavy load. If that's all there was there, they'd have most likely been waved over the scale without having to stop or undergo further inspection. After the bulldozer backed clear of the doors, one of the highway patrol officers took bolt cutters to the padlock and the boxcar seal securing the load. His partner and the conservation officer covered him with their pistols drawn. They all stood back as the doors swung open to reveal a load of large white woven plastic bags. The bags were stacked 3 high and 3 across and covered all but the last 10 feet of the 53-foot trailer. The conservation officer was the first to speak. "Huh, smells like beaver." The highway patrol officers chuckled. "Come on, guys, the 4-legged fur-bearing..." "Oh, forget it." He grinned and said, "What I mean is, it smells like a shipment of raw furs." Yeah, more amused chuckles. 2 highway patrol officers to 1 lonely game warden was an open invitation to some friendly ribbing. The CO shook his head and climbed into the back of the trailer, opened up half a dozen bags. If all the heavy-duty fur bags in the trailer contained the same product, then it was a load of beaver pelts, just as his nose had detected. If that's all that's in here, it's a mystery as to why they would have avoided the weigh scale. The only thing missing is export permits for the fur. "It's an Ontario truck," the highway patrol officer with the bolt cutter said. "Yeah, their COs will be more than a little pissed if these guys are moving this much fur without any paperwork. They could be missing out on a shitload of royalties. Can one of you check the cab again? I'll go and have a chat with the driver and his buddies." And that is where I will leave you to drool over the thought until your copy arrives from Amazon. Thanks. Have a good day. Bye-bye.